Hello. Has your pocket bike, crotch rocket, whatever you want to call it, ever gotten this problem? When like half the tank of gas just like comes out of the overflow valve or whatever, or the air filter, and it just spills all over your driveway, and you have to take your hose and wash your entire driveway down, but you weren't even aware of it the whole time of it coming out while you were riding it. Well, that's what just happened to me. This has actually happened multiple times with my pocket bike, and I'm going to show you how to fix it. What the issue is the seat inside of your carburetor not sealing off the inflow of gas. First, of course, you have to drain all the gas out of your tank. Whatever is left anyway. This has actually gotten a brand new carburetor just about a week ago or so, but the knob for the fuel valve like broke, and I glued it and it worked fine. It actually broke in like the first day because it's a cheaper carburetor or whatever, because it's Chinese, of course, or Japanese. And I just have a pair of vice grips pinching the fuel line, but it's not really good for the fuel line. You don't really want to do that. Even if you make it looser, it just kinks it, and if it's dry rotting, after a while it'll like ruin it. So I mean, this is not really relevant. You want to have a good fuel valve. If you're the person that has no fuel coming out of the overflow hose, this is actually also for you. I mean, if your pocket bike is bogging down and there's a lot of smoke coming out of the back when you're starting it up, this is also for you, because that means there's too much fuel flooding into your engine. When you drain the fuel out of your pocket bike, it should still start up, and if you notice, it's not bogging down anymore because it's now there's no fuel coming back down into the carburetor. If you're watching this and you're not getting enough fuel to your engine, well, if you think it isn't, it's usually the jet, which I will clean out in this video, or the shut-off fuel, or the shut-off valve for the fuel. Because sometimes, like, there's a little black, like, ring in there, and there's a piece of rubber that comes off of it, and it gets stuck in the hole. If you could just take this off and take this apart and clean it out and see what's inside of it, then it should be fine. And when you blow through it, and it blows through pretty easily, then it means it's pretty good. And if it's not that, the jet has like some stuff in it or whatever, because it's always a sediment inside of your valve. 3 basic tools you'll need: a Phillips, a flathead, and needle nose pliers. And if you have it, just carburetor cleaner is perfect too, because there's always sediment inside of your bell in the carburetor. You want to squirt that out or wash it out or something. And then you could also use compressed air or whatever. And then you have the jet inside of the carburetor that always gets clogged up with dirt. Anyway, I'll show you. Once you have your bike flipped over in a sturdy position, just start unscrewing the bottom of the carburetor bell. Once you have the float, bell, gasket, and screws off and on a safe spot, don't just drop it in the grass. You want to begin to unscrew the top of your jet, because there's actually 2 pieces of it. And this is the needle, the really small pinhole. You could barely see through that. But that's the really small hole that stuff gets stuck in. So you just want to take pliers or whatever, just unscrew that. Now this part is the seat. You're gonna just like knock out that little pin and slide it right out with a pair of pliers. You can just get it here. Be really careful with this. It comes off in 2 pieces. That is the thing that is letting too much fuel into your carburetor and making it overflow. That's how you clean the jet. If you could see through this just fine and there's no gunk in it, then that's fine anyway. But you want to take just some carburetor cleaner, there's actually many ways to do it, or a safety pin, and just dig out whatever gunk is there, if there is any. Or just, there's nothing in this jet, that's not the issue with mine, but if it is with yours, just spray right through it. Just put it in the end of the straw and just spray right through it on both ends, and it should come out. You just want to check in this hole, spray in it or whatever, because that's usually, there could be the gunk that's not letting it seal and letting the gas still flow into all that. You want to get out whatever is in your carburetor, because this just flew in from me walking around it. Just this little bit of grass. You want to pick that out and get all the little dust out. You just want to put your gasket back on and everything. Don't spray the gasket or the float with carburetor cleaner, because it makes it dry out a lot faster. When you pull the float bell off, and your gasket completely fell apart, like it ripped in half, you're going to want to just buy a new one or use a gasket maker or whatever to make a new one. And be really careful with that. You don't want any of it inside of the carburetor. You just want it on the sides. And when you put your gasket back on, you want it completely all flat down on it. You don't want it like sticking up on any corners or anything like that. You just want to carefully settle this back down in there. Make sure there's no dust or anything in it again, because then you'll have to do all of this all over again. It'll be really You want to put the jet right in there. Don't force it in, just let it settle in. Just tighten it a little bit, not too tight. And that noise is chickens. Your float have the flat end without the stuff here facing downwards like that. Then you just take your float bell, whatever you call it, make sure it's completely clean, get the sediment out of it. Again, like I said, just put that back on there. Get the screws tightened down evenly, and all you can do now is fill it up with gas. And yes, if you're wondering what this is, if you hadn't seen it already, these are I have two brake levers, front and back, on just one handle. Because this brake lever is actually the gas, because the normal twisty handle, whatever you call it, is broken because I dropped the bike.